In post-Roe America, abortion is on the ballot. And in the absence of federal protections for reproductive rights, local leaders across the country are taking things into their own hands. 9 states are trying to extend the ballot winning streak on the issue into 2024. And they are in the process of gathering signatures to officially pose the question of abortion access to voters. Now, it is playing out in Pennsylvania as well, where abortion is currently legal until 24 weeks of pregnancy. State House Democrats have moved to enshrine that abortion access into the state constitution following a successful ballot measure in neighboring Ohio. The proposed amendment reads in part, quote, "Every individual has the fundamental right to exercise personal reproductive liberty and make and effectuate decisions regarding the individual's own reproduction." Yes. Now, back in Pennsylvania this week, state representatives held a hearing with women and doctors to discuss the issue. It's the first step towards getting a referendum on a statewide ballot, but the bill would have to pass from the democratically held House through the Republican state Senate before that could happen. Well, the Speaker of the Pennsylvania State House of Representatives, Joanna McClinton, joins me now. She is the first Black woman elected to lead her state's House. So many firsts in 2023. Now, Madam Speaker, abortion is currently legal in Pennsylvania. I think it's important that people understand that. Until 24 weeks, it does require a 24-hour waiting period, according to Pennsylvania state law, and it prohibits state-funded abortions. I will pause here and note that only 3 states in America you use state funds to fund abortions in the District of Columbia. I'm not going to name the states. I don't want them to get any ideas. What motivated this particular push? Was it after you saw what happened in Ohio? Was this something you all were already discussing? And also, if you can just explain to folks why this process is different than some of the others that we've seen, because we're talking about legislation here.
Yes, Symone. So it's very important in Pennsylvania that as the only woman to ever be Speaker of the House, that my colleagues in the Pennsylvania House Democratic Caucus are protecting women. After we saw what happened with the United States Supreme Court overturning almost 50 years of precedent, we all got scared and concerned. But what's worse is last year in Pennsylvania, the Republican-controlled Senate and the then Republican-controlled House passed an abortion ban as a constitutional amendment. Pennsylvania is a little bit different. It takes 2 passages in 2 consecutive sessions before a ballot initiative can be voted on. So if it passed last year to ban it, they were hoping to do it again this year. But fortunately, Pennsylvania voters elected a Democratic majority, which has kept that abortion ban away from voters. And most importantly, now that we are in charge and I have the gavel, we're trying to do the reverse and the opposite, which is protecting every woman's freedom.
Well, you know, and I also think it's important for people to know, because folks will say, oh, I don't know if my vote matters. It was a very slim numbers that made you the Speaker of the House.
Let's understand, we have 203 state reps. So to have the majority, it's a 102. And we were ahead when we declared victory in 2 races. One person who was trying to become a state rep sadly lost by about 70 votes. But the other person who was going to be a state rep, she won by only 55 votes. So we have a 1-seat majority. We've had to defend that majority in 2023 5 different times. We've had resignations, people go to higher office and things of that nature. But yes, every single vote counts, especially for those of us at the bottom of the ballot who are state representatives.
So the Republican-controlled state Senate in Pennsylvania is unlikely to pass this measure if it passes the House. But are there any Republican senators that you can think of that you could potentially work with across the aisle to find some middle ground on? I can't even believe we're talking about middle ground on women being able to make decisions about their own bodies with their doctors and not elected officials in the state houses.
It's completely wild. I always said when I was the minority leader in Harrisburg, you know, when I go to the doctor's office, there's 1 extra seat. There's not 203 for the state reps, and it's certainly not 50 for the senators. So there are people we're trying to work with across the chamber and across the aisle to see what can be brought up for a vote. If it's not the enshrining the rights of abortion, what could it be? Could it be something else? We just passed another bill that protects both doctors and patients, people from out of state coming into Pennsylvania to get their rights being able to be protected. So maybe that's the path forward to protect women going forward in Pennsylvania this legislative session.
You talked about a recent bill you just passed. In an interview recently, you said that your body has sent 175 plus bills to the Senate, but a report said that only 40 bills have become law in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania all year. What is going on?
So that's correct. Pennsylvania Senate Republicans are still shocked that last November, Pennsylvania voters voted Republicans out of being in charge of the state house. They're in shock, and I guess they hadn't read the headlines that we're now in charge. So instead of negotiating and working with us with goodwill, many of our bills are just sitting. Some of those bills would really turn things around for people. Raising the minimum wage. Every state around Pennsylvania, including Republican-controlled Ohio and West Virginia, have a higher minimum wage. Other bills would be fairly funding our public schools, and they're just sitting there waiting on a vote. So we hope that although session's not over and we have 11 months ahead, that we will get them to come to the table, work with us, respect our majority the way we respect theirs.
Before I let you go, obviously, Pennsylvania, very important for a number of reasons when it comes to 2024. It is a swing state. It's a battleground. How are you feeling about President Biden's prospects in the state?
So far, we're feeling really good. This past election, just a few weeks ago, we swept at the top of the ticket. We won the Supreme Court race, the open vacancies on Superior Court and Commonwealth Court. And that's Pennsylvania voters saying we don't want extremism. We don't want that conservative idea. We don't want those radical ideas that take away our freedoms and rights. And for the first time in history, we went back to back with Democratic governors, from Tom Wolf to Josh Shapiro. So we're holding it down for Uncle Joe and Kamala and look forward to stomping with them next year.
Well, all right. Madam Speaker of the Pennsylvania House, Joanna McClinton, it is very good to see you. And let me take my opportunity to say congratulations.
Thank you,
Symone.
It's great to be here.